Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening around the world. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Blackjack. As always, today we are doing another Commander deck tech request from the YouTube comment section. If you're interested in having me put a deck together for you, maybe give you a little bit of inspiration or perhaps some new ideas before you put it together yourself, in the comment section below, I'm looking for any sort of Commander theme, budget restriction, pet cards, any of the above, any combination, and I'd love to put it together for you and make a video for you. Today, we have a request by the user Blair on YouTube. They said they're interested in a Zada Hedron Grinder deck. They want to focus on the value part of Zada with the pump effects. Pet cards are Blood Moon and Goblin Gain, and they want to draw a bunch of cards while buffing their creatures. So, just so happens to be very closely aligned with another commander named Feather the Redeemed, who I built a few years back. So this kind of came fairly naturally to me. But if you don't know what Zada does, 4 mana, mono red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Zada, you get to copy that spell for each other creature that you could target. So basically the name of the game here is we want to have a good amount of creatures, and we also want to have spells that target Zada doing one thing in particular, which will then kind of butterfly effect into targeting all the creatures on our board and having a much bigger impact than they would otherwise. So the cool part about this deck is we get to utilize some cards that otherwise aren't very interesting in Commander, but here can actually be fairly insane. So we do have a little bit of a goblin package, not a big one, but we get started with Ashling Flame Dancer. Not losing unspent mana is going to be really good in this deck because there's going to be spells that do all kinds of different things. So beyond that, having Magecraft, ideally we are going to cast and trigger Magecraft multiple times a turn. This card's going to be great. Beetleback Chief, again, I can't stress this enough. It's important that our creatures either do something really, really good for our game plan, or they come in and make multiple creatures themselves. General Crete, whenever one or more goblins you control attack, you get to make another goblin. Goblin Dark Dwellers is actually going to cast the instants and sorceries that we've already used with Zada out of the graveyard. Rabble Master, obviously cool card, makes goblins. Goblin War Chief. We don't have all of the chieftain type effects like the +1/+1s and all that. This one in particular is good because it saves mana and then it gives stuff haste, which is cool. Hanwar Garrison, we also have the battlements to be able to turn it over to the Writhing Township, and it's just another way for us to make multiple creatures. Legion Warboss, same thing. Krenko, same thing. Other Krenko, same thing. Krark the Thumbless, I think in this deck it is going to do some wild things. There's going to be times where you cast spells and they get bounced back to your hand, but I think the times that they do get copied, it's going to be an overwhelming amount of value for you. It's definitely worth it. Iron Mirror, Hedron Crawler, Mannequin, Ornithopter of Paradise, Plague Mirror. So normally we would not play 2 mana creatures that add mana in most commander decks. They're worthwhile here because one, it's mono red, so we don't have access to the green ramp like Rampant Growth, and two, it's a creature that can then stay on the field and be lying around for Zada when we cast spells that trigger Zada to be able to randomly also hit a mannequin or randomly also hit an ornithopter is going to be some incremental advantage that'll be good for us. So here I would say it's definitely worth it. Howl Squad Heavy, a new card from Aether Drift. Again, goblins, giving goblins haste. That's what we're more looking for than giving goblins +1/+1. They're going to be big enough to be dangerous from the spells we're giving them. We're not really worried about giving other goblins +1/+1. Loyal Apprentice makes guys. Mirrorwing casts spells. Pashless Mons is able to sacrifice a goblin to make 2 goblins. Obviously, it also has another ability that deals damage, but if we do have nothing going on in the late game and we have mana to sink into this, it is an engine in itself. I love engine pieces. Rashnach, Hair to Rograk. Battle Cry, whenever you cast a spell that targets this, you get to make an 0/1 Kobold. So there are a few cards that we can also target besides Zada, if Zada's been killed a bunch of times, and they're still going to give us a little bit of something out of them. Runaway Steamkin, awesome card in mono red decks. It's able to get bigger, it's able to generate mana. Sear Slicer Goblin, again, making bros. Siege Game Commander, making bros. Lieutenant, bros. Squee, bros. Storm Kiln Artist, in any deck that casts or copies a large amount of spells, making treasure tokens is very, very good. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. Here, it's going to be extremely exciting to get onto the field. Sorceries, not many, but a couple. This is where Goblin Gain you can ignore. It's one of his pet cards, Blair Twitch, that he asked for, so we threw it in here. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, did we even add that Blood Moon he asked for? Yes, we did. Okay. So, here's where we get to the package of the important stuff. Ancestral Anger is going to be a card that a lot of you see below. It's what this deck's all about. Target creature gets trample and gets +X+0 till end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of cards named Ancestral Anger in your graveyard. Obviously, we can only play one of these, so it's going to end up being +0/+0, and then an extra 1. So it's not going to pump it, but it is going to draw a card for each instance that you're casting. So if you have Zada and 3 other creatures and you cast Anger targeting Zada, it's going to hit Zada and then copy to all 3 other creatures, and you're going to draw 4 cards for 1 red mana, which is better than Ancestral Recall. Going to be absolutely insane in this deck, and it's another cool way that we can look at cards that are not typically utilized in Commander, but here are able to be star players. And it's also another major reason that this deck is so cheap. Being $173, I didn't go out of my way to make this budget. This is just what it is, because these cards are not utilized anywhere else, so cost, they're really not that high. Hordling Outburst makes bros. Renegade Tactics, target creature can't block this turn, draw a card. Again, is just going to draw a bunch of cards for every creature we have on the field. Target creature gains haste, draw a card for 2 mana. So we have a ton of these effects. There's more out there than what we have here. I picked what I consider the most important ones. There's a few things I'm looking for. I wanted my spells to either be a massive pump effect, be a haste and or trample effect, and or draw cards. Those are the only things I was really interested in, because if we play too many of these type effects, it's going to start to be a little bit lopsided in the deck, where we have like 5 of these in hand, but only Zada on the field. Ancestor's Aid, so it pumps, it gives first strike, and we get to make a treasure token. There's a good chance this is going to make 3, 4, 5, 6 treasures. Balduvian Rage is a cool one, so we get to basically dump as much mana as we have to give a creature +X+0, and then draw a card at the next upkeep. So again, this is going to be a massive pump effect. Blazing Crescendo, big pump, and it allows us to exile a top card, so essentially pseudo card draw. Brute Force, at the rate of 1 mana, +3/+3 is great. It is, at the end of the day, a giant growth effect, so we put it in here. Crimson Wisps draws a card. Anytime it's going to be a red instant that targets Zada to draw a card, we're going to do it. Dead Maw's Ire is going to give +2/+2, trample, and a random ability to destroy an artifact when it deals combat damage. Expedite's going to draw a card. Felonious Rage is going to do a little bit of pumping, a little bit of hasting, and then if the creature dies, it actually replaces itself with a 2/2 token. Fists of Flame, draw a card. Till end of turn, gets trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. There is a very good chance this is going to be a one-shot kill for the table. If you have, let's just say, 10 creatures out, Zada, some tokens, some other random goblins, you cast this, you're going to draw 10 cards, give all of these guys +10/+0, and trample till end of turn. Might of the Meek, trample, +1/+0, draw a card, if it's a mouse, mostly just draw a card. Monstrous Rage, an awesome one. It creates a monstrous roll token, ++2/+0. Otherworld Outburst, another pump effect that turns into creatures if something goes wrong. Run Amok is +3/+3 and trample. Samut Sprint, +2/+1, haste and scry. Siege Smash, we get to do multiple things. We get to pump, or we can get artifacts if we want to off the field. Stun, target creature can't block this turn. This is going to be either a massive card draw effect or just a one-off guarantee us getting through to take a player out. Sudden Breakthrough, another pump effect that makes treasures. Teamer Battle Rage, a double strike effect. I think it's the only one in here. More often than not, I believe double strike is going to be overkill, but it would be funny to deal like 400 to somebody. Titan Strength, +3/+1, scry. Finally, Turn Inside Out, another pump effect that if the creature dies, we get to manifest as well. So there is a world where you're actually going to hold up Otherworldly Outburst, Turn Inside Out, Felonious Rage. You're not going to use these. Typically, if you have a good amount of cards in your hand, your game plan is going well, you're not going to just use these to get through damage. You're actually going to hold them up as pseudo counter spells. So if you have 12 creatures on the battlefield and somebody casts Day of Judgment and board wipes, you're going to, in response, cast Felonious Rage, and you're going to give all 12 of your creatures the ability that when they die, they turn into 2/2 tokens, or into 3/2 Eldrazi, or you manifest them. But this is a way to kind of pseudo counterspell a board wipe and keep your particular game plan going. Artifacts: Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Fire Diamond, Ruby Medallion, Soul Ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do count Ruby Medallion as ramp. And then we had Ornithopter 6, Plague Mirror 7, Mannequin 8, Hedron Crawler 9, Iron Mirror 10. So we do have 10 ramp pieces. As always, I try to really not ever go below that number. Going below 10, you're getting into dangerous territory of being a little bit too inconsistent for my taste. Isochron Scepter, obviously it's going to be a really, really good card here. If we are ever able to get one of these card draw effects, or even one of these, save our board type effects underneath it, we're going to be able to hold it up and be protected for the rest of the game. Skull Clamp is going to be a great way to draw cards. Swiftfoot Boots is here. The reason that we have this in particular and not Lightning Greaves was not a decision based on cost. It's because Lightning Greaves gives Shroud, so we do want to protect Zada, but giving Zada Shroud obviously is going to keep us from actually targeting him with these spells, and that is exactly the opposite of what we want to be doing. But Swiftfoot Boots only does hexproof, so we can still target him. Enchantments, Blood Moon was one of the pet cards. To be fair, in mono red decks, it's hard to argue with the rate that you get out of Blood Moon. There is a good chance that 1 out of 4 players is going to be basically stun locked out of the game, and the other 2 are going to be operating with maybe half the mana that they were otherwise. So it's typically pretty worth it. Count on Luck is going to be good, consistent card draw in mono red. You could also consider Outpost Siege if you wanted to. I wasn't sure how many effects that we needed of these because we have so many instants that draw cards. But these are a few options that you have. Obviously, Count on Luck's better because it's one less mana. But Blair, if you find yourself not having enough consistent card draw, if Zada's not around, I would definitely consider something like Output Siege. So I will move it in the sideboard. Frontline Heroism is another way to make tokens. And then finally, the lands. Pretty clean and cut. There's obviously more red-based lands for us to look at and us to play with, but I did want to go kind of deep at the Blood Moon route and make sure that if we ever draw Blood Moon, really wasn't going to have any effect on us whatsoever. So we have Arena of Glory, a great way to give haste. Castle Embrith is a good way to bump our guys. Hanwar Battlements, it combos with the Garrison to make the Writhing Township. Care Keep is a cool way to just make bros. 27 Mountains. The Raceway, we do get to start our engines. Once we get to max speed, we get to add 2. I just thought it was kind of cool. It was a little bit thematic with our other Aether Drift Goblin that starts the races and levels up racing. Nykthos, gonna be great here. Any time you get to utilize Nykthos, 3-tree city in decks that are either particular creature type or particular color type and get to accelerate your mana, it's always going to be powerful. Valakut, incidental lightning bolts that you're going to get to toss around. And finally, War Room. I always put these in my monocolored decks. It's good to have consistent card draw if nothing else is going on. But that's it. So, very cheap, effective, fast, a cool way of utilizing cards that are otherwise pretty much just butt cheeks in Commander in general, but here get to be stars of the show, which I always enjoy. So, Blair, I hope you like it. Thank you all so much for watching. I got a lot more videos coming out, and as always, Godspeed.